Ethics Unveiled. Navigating right and wrong with philosophy. Ever wondered what makes an action right or wrong? Or how to make tough moral choices with confidence? In the next 15 minutes, we're diving into the heart of ethics, philosophy's guide to living a good life and making sense of morality. Welcome to episode 7 of our 10-part Philosophy Basics series, where we're unpacking the fascinating world of ethical philosophy. So what is ethics? At its core, ethics is the branch of philosophy that studies morality, what's right, what's wrong, and why. It's about figuring out how we should live, treat others, and make choices in a complex world. Unlike laws, which tell you what you must do, or cultural norms, which vary by society, ethics seeks universal principles or reasoned guidelines for moral behavior. Whether you're deciding whether to lie to a friend, grappling with a workplace dilemma, or debating global issues like climate change, ethics gives you the tools to reason through tough choices and live with integrity. Why does ethics matter? Because every day, you face moral questions. Should you tell the truth, even if it hurts someone? Is it okay to break a promise for a greater good? Should you donate to charity or save for your future? These aren't just abstract puzzles. They shape your relationships, career, and sense of self. Ethics also helps us tackle big societal issues, like justice, equality, and human rights. By studying ethics, you gain clarity on your values, learn to justify your choices, and become a better citizen of the world. Let's start with the basics, the main approaches to ethics. Philosophers have developed 3 major frameworks to guide moral reasoning: consequentialism, deontology, and virtue ethics. Each offers a different lens on what makes an action right or wrong, and understanding them is like having a moral toolbox for life's challenges. First up is consequentialism, the idea that the morality of an action depends on its outcomes. The most famous version is utilitarianism, championed by thinkers like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. Utilitarianism says we should act to produce the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. For example, if lying to a friend spares their feelings and doesn't hurt anyone, a utilitarian might say it's okay. But if the lie causes more harm than good in the long run, it's wrong. The strength of utilitarianism is its focus on results. It's practical and measurable. If you can calculate the consequences, you can make a moral choice. But consequentialism has its challenges. How do you predict all the outcomes of an action? If you lie to save someone's feelings, what if it leads to bigger problems later? And what about fairness? Imagine a scenario where sacrificing one person's life saves 10 others. Utilitarianism might justify it, but is it morally right to treat someone as a means to an end? These questions show that consequences aren't the whole story, which leads us to the next approach. Deontology, often associated with Immanuel Kant, focuses on rules and duties, not outcomes. Deontologists say an action is right if it follows a universal moral rule, regardless of the consequences. Kant's big idea is the categorical imperative. Act only according to rules you'd want everyone to follow. For example, lying is wrong because if everyone lied all the time, trust would collapse and society would fall apart. So, even if lying saves someone's feelings, a deontologist might say it's wrong because it violates the rule against lying. Deontology's strength is its consistency. It gives you clear principles to follow, like don't lie, or respect others' rights, no matter the situation. But it can feel rigid. What if a small lie prevents a huge harm, like saving a life? Kant would still say lying is wrong, which some find too strict. Deontology also raises questions about where these rules come from: reason, God, or something else. Despite these challenges, it's a powerful framework for those who value principle over pragmatism. The third approach is virtue ethics, rooted in Aristotle's philosophy. Virtue ethics focuses on character, not just actions. It asks, what kind of person should I be? Aristotle argued that the good life comes from cultivating virtues, like courage, honesty, and compassion, and finding the golden mean between extremes. For example, courage is the mean between cowardice and recklessness. A virtuous person acts morally because it's part of who they are, not because they're following rules or calculating outcomes. Virtue ethics is appealing because it emphasizes personal growth and long-term character. If you're honest by habit, you don't need to debate every lie, you just don't lie. But it's less clear on specific actions. If you're faced with a dilemma, like whether to report a coworker's mistake, virtue ethics might say, act with justice and kindness. But what does that look like in practice? It's also culturally relative. What counts as a virtue in one society might not in another. Still, it's a compelling way to think about morality as a lifelong journey. Let's apply these frameworks to a real-world dilemma. Should you tell a friend they're being cheated on? A utilitarian might weigh the consequences. Will telling them cause more happiness or pain? If it helps them move on, it's probably right. If it destroys their trust, maybe not. A deontologist would focus on duty. Kant might say you must tell the truth, no matter the outcome, because lying violates a universal rule. A virtue ethicist would ask what a compassionate, honest person would do, balancing truth with kindness. Each approach gives you a different angle, showing why ethics is so rich and complex. These frameworks aren't the whole story. Other ethical theories add depth. For example, care ethics, developed by thinkers like Carol Gilligan, emphasizes relationships and empathy over abstract rules. It says morality grows from caring for others, especially those closest to us. This is especially relevant in contexts like family or healthcare, where emotional bonds matter. Then there's existentialist ethics, from philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre, which says we're radically free to create our own values in a world without inherent meaning. This can be empowering but also daunting. Freedom comes with responsibility. Let's zoom out to the history of ethics. The ancient Greeks laid the foundation. Socrates asked, "What is the good life?" and used dialogue to test moral ideas. Plato tied ethics to justice, arguing that a just person is happier than an unjust one, even if they suffer. Aristotle's virtue ethics focused on character and balance, influencing thinkers for centuries. In the medieval period, religious ethics dominated. Thomas Aquinas blended Aristotle with Christianity, arguing that moral laws come from God's rational order. His natural law theory says humans can discover right and wrong through reason, aligning with divine will. The Enlightenment brought a shift. Kant's deontology emphasized reason over faith, grounding morality in universal principles. Bentham and Mill's utilitarianism made ethics more secular and practical, focusing on measurable outcomes. In the 19th century, Karl Marx tied ethics to social structures, arguing that morality reflects economic systems and class struggles. His ideas challenged traditional ethics, suggesting that justice requires systemic change. Meanwhile, Friedrich Nietzsche rejected conventional morality, urging individuals to create their own values beyond good and evil. His provocative ideas shook up ethical thought, though they were controversial. In the 20th century, ethics tackled modern challenges. G. Moore and other analytic philosophers analyzed moral language. What does good mean? Applied ethics emerged, addressing issues like medical ethics, environmental ethics, and animal rights. Peter Singer, for example, used utilitarian principles to argue for animal welfare and global poverty relief, challenging us to rethink our obligations. Feminist philosophers like Martha Nussbaum brought new perspectives, emphasizing emotions, relationships, and justice for marginalized groups. Let's explore some key ethical questions to see these ideas in action. One classic is the trolley problem. A runaway trolley is about to hit 5 people, but you can pull a lever to divert it to hit 1 person. What's the right choice? Utilitarianism might say sacrifice the 1 to save the 5. Greatest happiness wins. Deontology might argue that pulling the lever is wrong because it actively causes harm, violating a moral rule. Virtue ethics would ask what a compassionate, just person would do, weighing character over outcomes. There's no easy answer, but the debate sharpens your moral reasoning. Another question: is it okay to lie to protect someone? Imagine your friend asks if they look good in an outfit, but you think it's unflattering. Utilitarianism might justify a white lie if it boosts their confidence without harm. Kant's deontology would say lying is always wrong, as it undermines trust. Virtue ethics might suggest honesty tempered with kindness, reflecting a compassionate character. These scenarios show how ethical theories offer different paths through the same problem. Ethics also applies to global issues. Take climate change. Utilitarianism might push for policies that maximize long-term human and environmental well-being, like reducing emissions. Deontology could demand we respect future generations' rights to a livable planet, regardless of immediate costs. Virtue ethics might call for cultivating traits like responsibility and stewardship to guide our actions. These frameworks help us move beyond opinions to reasoned arguments about what we owe the world. Let's address a common objection. Isn't ethics just subjective, a matter of personal opinion? Some say morality varies by culture or individual, so there's no universal truth. Philosophers counter that while customs differ, ethical reasoning seeks principles that hold across contexts. For example, most societies value fairness, even if they define it differently. Ethics doesn't always give one answer, but it provides tools to justify your stance logically, not just emotionally. This makes moral debates more productive, even if agreement isn't reached. Another objection. Why study ethics when we already know right from wrong? Most of us have instincts about morality, but instincts can conflict or mislead. Ethics refines those instincts with reason. For instance, your gut might say stealing is wrong, but what if someone steals food to feed their starving family? Ethical theories help you navigate these gray areas, ensuring your choices align with your deepest values. Let's make this personal. Think about a recent moral dilemma, maybe a conflict at work or a tough call with a friend. How did you decide? Try applying one of these frameworks. If you leaned on consequences, you were thinking like a utilitarian. If you followed a principle, like honesty, you were channeling Kant. If you aimed to act with integrity, you were in Aristotle's camp. Reflecting on your process can reveal your ethical style and help you make better choices next time. Here's a historical example to show ethics in action. In the 18th century, Mary Wollstonecraft applied ethical reasoning to women's rights. Her argument in A Vindication of the Rights of Woman went like this. Premise 1. All humans deserve equal respect because of their rational capacity. Premise 2. Women are rational beings. Conclusion. Women deserve equal rights. This was radical for her time, using logic and moral principles to challenge societal norms. Her work laid the groundwork for feminism, showing how ethics drives social change. Ethics also shapes technology. Consider artificial intelligence. Scientists build AI, but ethicists ask, should AI make life or death decisions, like in self-driving cars? Utilitarianism might weigh lives saved versus lost. Deontology could demand strict rules against machines causing harm. Virtue ethics might focus on the character of programmers. Do they prioritize safety and fairness? These questions show how ethics guides innovation responsibly. Let's tackle a practical exercise. Imagine you're offered a job that pays well, but involves working for a company with questionable practices, like exploiting workers. How do you decide? Utilitarianism might compare the benefits to you versus the harm to others. Deontology would ask if accepting the job violates a moral rule, like not supporting injustice. Virtue ethics would consider whether taking the job aligns with your character. Would it make you less honest or compassionate? Running through these lenses helps you make a reasoned choice, not just a gut one. Why does all this matter? Because ethics isn't just about abstract debates, it's about living well. It helps you navigate personal dilemmas, contribute to a just society, and understand your place in the world. In a time of rapid change, AI, climate crises, social divides, ethical reasoning is more crucial than ever. It's not about having all the answers but asking the right questions and justifying your choices with clarity and courage. Here's a challenge. Over the next week, notice one moral decision you make, big or small, and analyze it using one of these ethical frameworks. Did you prioritize consequences, rules, or character? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear how it shapes your thinking. As we wrap up, think about this. Ethics is philosophy's gift to a messy world. It doesn't solve every problem, but it gives you the tools to face them with reason, compassion, and integrity. In our next episode, we'll explore metaphysics, diving into the nature of reality itself. If you're excited, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Drop a comment. What's one ethical dilemma you've faced, and how did you handle it? Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in episode 8.